Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Tom Worth Jr. And today we're going to be talking about Michigan and Trump's response during COVID, his terrible early response, which continued throughout COVID, slow to act, ridiculous all throughout. We also have a big game this weekend tomorrow. My beloved Longhorns against my beloved Michigan Wolverines. So I am conflicted. I will be rooting for the Horns tomorrow. Today's Friday. I think we've only played each other once in a Rose Bowl in 2004, the year before our national championship season, also in the Rose Bowl. And we did win that game. I always wondered what I would do if the two played each other, and in that Rose Bowl game I did root for my Horns because that's where I went. Of course, Michigan coming off the national championship last year. Texas also made the Final Four playoff. Got a good mix of coffee in Michigan and Mountain Dew and UT. But this year, Michigan is not supposed to be as good. Texas is supposed to be even better. So we'll see. Enough about that. Let's get in the internet time machine and go all the way back to March 28th, 2020. There's an article in Politico. If you'll recall, Trump was flailing, blaming everyone, not taking any action. There was something called the Defense Production Act, and that enables the government to order companies to produce things that are in national emergencies. And Trump wouldn't do that at first. And you had the new governor, Gretchen Whitmer, of Michigan, who couldn't get anywhere with Trump to send emergency supplies like life-saving medical supplies, protective hospital masks, ventilators. If you remember, there were not enough hospital masks or ventilators, medical personnel. We were all told not to buy masks at first because all the medical personnel needed the masks to protect themselves. So there's this war of words between Whitmer and Trump, and that this is what Trump does. He wouldn't send things to Democrat-governed states because they weren't respectful enough of him personally. So Trump, talking about Vice President Mike Pence, told him not to call governors who aren't, quote, appreciative of his efforts. This is a direct quote from Donald Trump early on in the coronavirus pandemic, with people dying, people getting sick. There's not enough medical supplies. This is what your president said. I say, Mike, don't call the governor in Washington. You're wasting your time with him. Don't call the woman in Michigan. You know what I say? If they don't treat you right, I don't call. That's a direct callback to refusing to send aid to Ukraine. Unless, this is what started his impeachment here, his impeachment trial. I think it was the first one. He would not send any military aid to Ukraine to protect themselves against Russia unless they tried to dig up dirt on Trump's political opponents. This was the original quid pro quo. That's what Trump does. Unless you're going to help him personally, he will use all his power and all his resources to keep things from doing what need to be done. And he did that in Ukraine with the aid. He did that with the coronavirus with Democrat-governed states. So then in a Fox News interview, this was going on over several days, Trump stated he had a big problem with, quote, a woman governor. He always has to get that in. A woman governor from Michigan. Whitmer's just doing everything she can. Eventually, Trump does invoke the Defense Production Act, and gets corporations like General Motors to switch to producing ventilators. It could have been done earlier, should have been done earlier. He just refused to. No one will ever really know why, most likely because he... We'll just leave it at that. No one will ever really know why. You even had a Republican governor who said, oh, by the way, Massachusetts will not be, quote, up and running by Easter, which is what Trump suggested, that the country could loosen social distancing guidelines by April 12th. So all of this is in late March going on. This is Trump. This is him using his power to millions of people died in this pandemic. This is the era of nobody knew anything. We had just surpassed China for cases. China did know what they were dealing with pretty clearly and locked everything down. Trump and Republicans across the country refused to do so. This is what I referred to earlier with politicizing everything that should never be politicized. Usually in times of national or certainly global crisis, that's when you set the politics aside. Trump can not only set the politics aside, he can't set aside the personal aggrandizement requirements that always accompany him, personal enrichment requirements that always accompany him. He can't, there will never be anything where he just goes all in and says, okay, you know what, just forget about me, forget about my party, we're going to do the right thing here because that's what's called for. He will never do that. He has never done that. He didn't do that with a threat to Ukraine by Russia. He didn't do it with the coronavirus, which hopefully will be a once-in-a-lifetime disaster for most of us. We had never seen anything like this, and hopefully we never will again. And he completely screwed it up. He made it so much worse than it needed to be, and he politicized it. So to this day, here in 2024, if you ever see someone wearing a mask, and maybe you think they don't need to be, keeping in mind you have no idea about their situation. You don't know if they have a compromised immune system. You don't know if they have allergies. I remember in the mid-'80s, my mom's dad had cancer. He had lung cancer. And we knew what was going on. He had to walk around towards the end. He had withered away to almost, just a shell of his former self, but he tried to still, he's in his little town in New York, get up to the softball fields to watch his son play, his grown son. I mean, the town just played softball, the guys did, the beer leagues. And he would still get himself up to the softball fields, and everybody knew him, and he had a mask on because he had no immune system because of the experimental treatment he was on for his cancer, which did not work. But people wear masks sometimes, and it's required. But in all of our minds, thanks to Donald Trump and all of his all of the politicization, I always mess up that word, that he does. If you see someone wearing a mask now, your mind can't help but entertain the thought, well, is there some political statement going on? Are they Democrat? Just forget it. Like, let people wear a mask if they want to wear a mask. Coronavirus is going on again. It's never gone. It flares up from time to time. There's a lot of cases here in Texas. We know some people who have had it, and it's just here to stay, and that it will always carry that political stigma. And you have to wonder if every disease is going to get to that point now, where anyone trying to take care of themselves and be cautious especially in the face of not knowing anything about it. And like I said, go back to March of 2020. Nobody knew anything. It was this curious, mysterious disease that came out of China, and it spread rapidly across the world, and it killed a whole lot of people. And we all saw the morgues, we all saw the body bags, we all saw the frozen trucks that were serving as temporary morgues in the back of hospitals. Nobody knew anything, and it was complete fear and panic. And you use that as an opportunity to try to divide the nation politically. That's what Trump does. That's what he did. You don't have to take my word for it. Just if you were alive in 2020, you know what I'm saying is true. And you know no one had ever done that before as the president of the United States. You do what you do to protect yourself and to protect others and try to keep diseases from spreading. It's very basic. It's very common sense. And for some reason, Trump and people who support him, you could go to a Walmart, you could go to wherever you wanted, and you'd see people not wearing masks. And you are 100% sure that they supported Trump. Of the people that wore masks, some of them may have supported Trump. Some didn't. Either way, they were being smart because there is this lethal disease spreading rapidly. But if they weren't wearing a mask, there was no doubt where their political allegiance lay. So if you want to get back to that kind of presidency and that kind of world, we're 4 years past it. As far as the White House goes, we still have people like Ron DeSantis in Florida who are waging these ridiculous culture wars and hating Disney and book burning, literal book burning. At least the governor of Georgia resisted Trump and refused to do his bidding during the election overturning. If you think for a second that, if Florida was that close and the election needed to be overturned in Florida, that Ron DeSantis and his crew wouldn't have done that, you're out of your mind. That would have gone for Trump. One way or another, Florida would have gone for Trump. They would have thrown out votes. They would have done whatever they needed to do. When Trump made that famous phone call to Georgia, I think it was to the Secretary of State of Georgia, to say, we need to find more votes. That's exactly what DeSantis would have done. Brian Kemp, to his credit, did not do that. And because of that, we have not had, partially because of that, mostly because of millions and millions and millions of people voting for Joe Biden that didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. We would be another 4 years into this thing, and who knows where we would have been. Ukraine would be part of Russia. I don't know. I don't know where we would be. But I'm glad we're not. I'm glad Texas and Michigan are playing tomorrow. And I will say go blue. But I will say hook 'em. And hope y'all have a great weekend. And hopefully tomorrow's video, which would come most likely after the game because it's in the morning, I'll be smiling either way, because one of my teams will have won. I just hope it's the one with actual national championship aspirations this year. We'll see y'all later.